Hello, hello, beautiful people. How are you guys? I know that you've seen this everywhere and you're wondering what's happening with Harry now that the visa records have been released. What does it mean? Ah, why everything is so redacted? Well, thank you first for joining. Please let me know where you are. I want to thank you all. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe this live. I talked to a lawyer before coming on here. So he kind of gave me a lot of advice and told me what's going on. Um, and it's basically the only thing that they released. We're going to talk about what exactly it was that they released. If we found, did we find out whether Harry admitted to doing drugs in those papers or not? No. Does it mean that the Heritage Foundation is going to appeal? Probably, um, because the problem that the Heritage Foundation had before is that they couldn't appeal because they didn't know what the reasoning was for the grounds of the refusal of releasing Prince Harry's um, answer. Because you see, we don't need to see all those papers. This is the whole thing that everybody's gotten wrong. All we need to see is the question where Harry said if he had done drugs or not. I've been saying this for a long time. All we need to know is the answer he gave to the questions. Have you taken drugs? Because if he says yes, then we know for sure he got a special treatment. We know that for a fact. If he said no, then he will be prosecuted. He needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law because that is lying on a federal um, based on a federal document, which is a crime. That is a crime. Now, President Trump campaigned. I know that everybody's talking about the special friendship and how this would have a diplomatic impact uh, if Trump were to deport Prince Harry. Let me tell you that I have been involved in certain deportations of princes of Middle Eastern countries that are absolutely vital, even more vital than the UK to the United States. I can tell you that at least in two occasions, two separate princes were deported from the United States because, yeah, they were deported. So, and at the moment, Trump is making it a big deal about deporting people, being illegally there, and people are talking sparing the blushes between the United States and to the king. It should be the other way around. It should be the king of England who should be doing his darndest best to please the United States of America because one of his son is in the United States wreaking havoc, wreaking basically what you might call it endorsing censorship, promoting the use of drugs. Because Harry, the problem that people have is that is not that he did past drug use, which is bad enough, is that he's still going on in the United States endorsing the use of drugs. We've heard him say that, he did all these drugs, this and that, and that not all of the drugs work for everybody, but to him it worked. And in some cases, they do work. Keep in mind that while Harry is an immigrant in the United States of America, federal law applies to him, not state law. So even if the drugs that he's consuming right now, because he's admitted to still doing those drugs, they are legal in the state of California, they are illegal for him to consume because he's an immigrant. And because those drugs are not legal across the board from the United States, then he's committing a federal crime. Okay. So there's also something very important for you to know, guys. Trump has known all along how Harry got in because Harry got in under his administration. Okay. So I do believe that this has been a bipartisan cover up to make it so difficult. Um, I agree with you, Debbie Lee. By the way, thank guys for the super chats for tuning in. And please, I will try to, we're going to go over the document which are heavily redacted. They reminded me, guys, of my court case in Norway. They are so heavily redacted, but we're going to get to the juicy bits and what it means for the Heritage Foundation now. Because some of the arguments that they gave make no sense. For example, one of the arguments is that the press, he might be harassed by the press. The purpose of the United States of America's law is not to spare people's blushes. I mean, they didn't think that about Nigella Lawson when she was kicked out of the United States because of drug, or when Amy Winehouse was publicly denied access because of drugs. That is not an excuse. They cannot say, "Oh, we're sparing him from the press," or that is not an excuse. They have to follow the letter of the law. So that is not a legal reasoning because they use that as part of the legal reasoning. Okay. Or other celebrities, yes. No, I don't believe, guys, that he's an A1 holder visa, because the only way that Harry, and this is something that's very important to do for you guys to understand, that the only way that Harry can have an A1 visa is if the government of the United Kingdom requested him to have an A1 visa. Now, if he has an A1 visa, it means that he cannot work in the United States of America. That would be illegal because that means that he's there on government business, and therefore he's forbidden from working like on Netflix or anything else. So he's not on an A1 visa, guys. Okay? So understand that, okay? That if he cannot be a diplomatic because all diplomats have to be registered when they go in a country. So you can easily go to the homeland when you go to and he wouldn't live in California. He would live in Washington. For example, Prince Joachim of Denmark, the one that flew from Denmark, from Washington to see him at the Invictus Games. He's based in Washington because he's there on a diplomatic mission. So all diplomats must be at the city's capital. And Harry's not. And an A1 visa is not given indefinitely. And again, in an A1 visa, he would not be allowed to work in the United States of America. Okay. So yes, I agree with you. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So, but you know what? But here it's not on King Charles. Here is on the Trump administration. Here is on the Trump administration, because Trump can easily declassify those documents. Trump can easily say, he's declassifying everything. He's declassifying the Epstein list. He's declassifying Robert F. Kennedy. He's declassifying everybody's list. So the president does have the power to say, you know what, we're going to make those documents public. But again, we don't need to see the entire documents. We only need to see the line where it says, did you take drugs? Are you still taking drugs? So we're going to go over the document because probably he lied or he was given. My take is that he lied. My take is that he lied. That is what my take is, that he lied. I understand, but people are going on about Trump's special relationship and sparing King Charles blushes. I think that Trump should be more concerned on how the United States would be perceived around the world, and even by its own citizens, the people that elected him to be impartial, and especially when Harry himself, because you see, what people forget is that Harry brought this all onto himself by going around, because he felt so above the law that he went around boasting and bragging about his past and current drug use. I mean, on Spare, he said that Meghan Markle was sleeping with his child while he was rolling a joint. He did an ayahuasca thing with Gabor Mate. He's been talking in all talk shows how certain drugs, and how he's still doing certain drugs, which is illegal. Okay. But the good thing is that now the Heritage Foundation can, yes, can, but this is where it comes with the double standards. And I hope that Trump is smart enough to know that this is not his job to spare King Charles blushes of a son who's a criminal. Because what Harry's doing, guys, when he's going around saying I did drugs or I am still doing drugs, it's like saying I killed someone and I'm still killing people. Yes, there are different types of crimes, but they are crimes nonetheless. Okay. So when he goes on very public platforms and says, oh yeah, sure, I'm a drug trafficker, I'm doing drugs, I'm still doing trafficking drugs in the United States of America. and he says it very publicly, then Trump is allowing this to happen, because now we can't blame the Biden administration, because Harry entered the United States under the Trump administration. And if Trump can easily pick up the phone and say, you know what, I'm going to declassify this. All we need to know if he did that, and if we gave him special permission, it would be better if they came out and said, you know what, we gave him special, we waiver whatever, because of our special relationship with the United States. But the problem is that Harry didn't stop doing drugs, did he? He continued doing drugs. And now he's endorsing, and on top of that, he's meddling in politics. He's promoting censorship. Yeah, I mean, he admitted himself that he knew about January 6th before even the president, the then President Trump, or even the chief of police of Washington knew that there was going to be a January 6th. So that should be very concerning for everybody, because that means that is getting privileged information that not even the president of the United States is getting. Okay. So, but you know what, Luzo? I disagree with you. This is very important. I'll tell you why. Because Harry's very high profile, and he has gone pretty much worldwide saying that he's breaking the law and wiping his ass with the United States of America's laws, especially now that Trump is deporting everybody. So it is a big deal. If Harry had kept his mouth shut and not talked about drugs, that would have been a different thing. Well, I don't know. I don't know who that is, guys. I've done my. Please don't come and tell me what other people are saying in my channel, because the reason for that is I present you the information. You do your own research, okay? I presented you the information as to why Rachel Meghan Markle cannot call herself the Duchess of Sussex. Okay, it is in writing everywhere. It is in letters patent everywhere. It is in the royal website. So, that's all I can tell you. Okay. So let's go now, guys. And I'm going to show you the document in question. Okay. Here it is. Exhibit 1. There's really nothing here. Let me see if I can enlarge this so you guys can see it better. Zoom in. Yeah, I actually, estúpida. Okay, here we go. Here's the Heritage Foundation, and then they're talking here, pursuant to so-and-so, state publicly declaration dated, blah, blah, blah. I am the Acton Associated Center, but they're just talking about things, right? But basically, this is the whole document. Everything is redacted, guys. Everything is redacted except for certain explanations. It reminds me of my court case in Norway, how the government had redacted everything. Yep. As the document reflect, we don't know what it is. Documents here, documents withheld in full. Here we go. It says, as explained in USCIS public declaration, USCIS has determined that all records responsive to plaintiffs' FOIA requests are categorically exempt from disclosure pursuant to FOIA exemption 6, and in part based on exceptions B, 7, C, blah, blah, blah. This part, the Heritage Foundation didn't have. The Heritage Foundation did not have the legal grounds under which their FOIA was being requested or denied. So now with this, they can come back and say, that is not right. Now, if the Justice of the Department and if Trump is based on the law and their Heritage, because apparently the Heritage Foundation will appeal this. And then it says USCIS attached relevant documents reflecting the Duke's immigration status. Additional documents can be provided to the court if needed. They hide what his status is. And then they say that the exemption 6 of the FOIA protects personnel. This is important. Personnel and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. But nobody was asking what about Harry's medical records. I think that the Heritage Foundation just wanted to know if he had said that he had in his form, if he had disclosed that he was an habitual drug user and that he was still taking drugs. That's what they wanted to know. So this is a lot of sophistry. You're going to see a lot of sophistry here, okay? Because to publicly reveal the above described documents or any portion of these documents would reveal that he's a drug addict, probably in violation of his right to privacy. You know, as explained in USCIS, and this is allegedly, guys, public declaration, specific details regarding these records or the volume of the records could not be disclosed, as the records would show that Harry's a drug addict, habitual drug addict, whatever. This is just me joking, right? It's allegedly. USCIS has determined that it was not possible to release any record or any portion of the records, as it would allow someone with any familiarity with immigration law to determine for the Duke of the in the United States to determine his status or the status for the Duke of the or law to determine if he got special privileges or whatever. USCIS routinely protects from disclosure the non-immigrant immigrant status sought by third party. So it is clear that Harry was looking for an immigrant and non-immigrant status. So if he was looking for an immigrant status, the A1 visa would be out the door, guys. This to me, and this is what the lawyer that I spoke to also said to me, because you see, it would be the government of the United Kingdom. Nobody, you cannot pitch up to the U.S. embassy and say, "Can you give me an A1 visa?" Because you're not a head of state or anything. And it has to be the government that's sending you there. Okay. So it says USCIS routinely protects from disclosure the non-immigrant immigrant status sought by third parties who do not have permission from the beneficiary to receive this information. To release such information would potentially expose the individual to harm from members of the public who might have a reason to manipulate or harass individuals depending on their status in the United States. Then they say further, USCIS determined that to release that specifically information for the Duke, it says something there. But this makes no sense, because the reason why they need to know the status is because Harry's own admissions of drug use, and because the laws of the United States indicate that you have to disclose that information. So all of this, guys, is sophistry, and it is not based on law. So now the Heritage Foundation has the legal grounds. And you're saying that this is because people might manipulate or harass individuals. The United States and the way it works, it's never done like that. Why would anybody harass Harry about his immigration status? Why would it potentially expose the individual to harm from members of the public who might have a reason to manipulate or harass individuals depending on their status in the United States? So does that mean that he admitted he consumed drugs? And therefore people will be angry because why are you giving this guy exemption when you're not exempting anybody? That is another way it can be seen. To release his exact status could subject him to reasonable foreseeable harm and harassment on the media. This is not a legal argument. We cannot release this thing because of the paparazzi. Harry is a public persona. He has publicly gone on record saying that he's a drug addict, that he is an habitual drug user, which as an immigrant he's not allowed to do. It's illegal. It's against the law. Because let's say that Harry, they let him in the United States. They know that he has done drugs in the past, right? That's fine. We're going to give you an exemption because you said that you did drugs, but because of our special relationship, we're going to let you in. The problem is that Harry has gone on after coming in, after getting that exemption, and has admitted to continue doing drugs in the United States that he's not allowed to do. That is the big problem that they have. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to boycott Harry. You need to start screaming out loud to President Trump and to the Department of Justice and to the Homeland Security. Because those are not legal grounds. That the media is going to harass you. They do that all the time. Didn't they just release Melania Trump's records? I mean, status, visa records and everything. They do it all the time. So the fact, he's going to be harassed. The only way that this guy can be harassed is if he got an exception and admitted extensive drug use. But again, getting exceptional waiver for whatever reason, even though it's very nepotism and everything. Um, yeah. Would you like to comment on and on the live? Our recollections may vary. I can send you. Let me send you. Let me send you the link so you can come on in so we can talk about it because I talked to it with a lawyer. You see, the problem is not if President Trump said, you know what, I know, buddy, that you're a drug addict, but you know what, I am going to allow you in, right? That's fine because that is considered to be in the past. You know what I mean? That is considered you were what you might call it. Um I'm just our recollections may vary. I'm sending you the link here so you can come on. Let me see. Sorry about this. This will be fun. I don't want to be alone talking, to tell you the truth. Hopefully you can come on in. I just sent you the link to come on the live. Our recollections may vary. Okay. So it is that is what the problem is. Okay. It's not our recollections may vary. I just sent you the link in case you want to join. Okay. To your email on Yahoo from my Yahoo account. So it's not that's not the problem. Okay. That's not the problem. Getting preferential treatment, although pretty bad. And don't forget that back then, when Harry first came into the United States, nobody really knew his intentions. Nobody knew what he wanted to do. Nobody knew what he was going to do, which is what he did. Trash the royal family, pretty much lobby against the very president who gave him because if he got an exception, guys, it was Donald Trump who gave him the exemption or the waiver to come in spite of all the drug use. Okay. So he's literally trashing the president who gave him the waiver to come into the country. But once you come into the country as an immigrant, you cannot continue doing drugs because that is the thing. Our recollections may vary. I sent you the link so you can come on in, okay? I sent it to your email address. Hopefully you can come in. So at the moment we have to focus on whether because the Heritage Foundation wants to know is whether or not um, he said I did drugs. So all of this that we're watching here is absolute sophistry, guys. All of this is absolute sophistry. I mean, like the press are gonna harass the Duke. He himself has put himself publicly out there to be harassed by admitting that he is still doing drugs, endorsing the use of drugs, getting involved in politics, which is not allowed by title members of any royal family. Because at this point in time, Harry's still holding a royal title. So oh, you're cooking dinner. Oh, that's too bad. If you can come for a few minutes, that'd be wonderful. So I'm not doing this alone. so so this is what we have. So let's keep going. The records also so this thing to release its exact status um could subject him to foreseeable harm in the form of harassment as well as unwanted contact by media and others, which means that either he said I'm a drug addict and he got a waiver and people will want to say, wait a minute, why? The records also contain very specific private and personal information, including specific file and record identifiers in the records. I don't know what that means, but again, you see, all that the Heritage Foundation wanted to know is just like when Candace Owens asked the Macrons, "Were you born a female? Yes or no?" So all that the Heritage Foundation wants to know is, did he admit that did he tick yes or no and when he came in his drug use? All the other papers are irrelevant. We need to know whether he clicked yes or no to the drug use question. Okay? And now He clicked, let's say he clicked yes, he was given the waiver. I repeat, that is not a crime if he got a waiver, preferential treatment. We know that's how everybody works. We know that even Trump is not immune to nepotism and stuff like that, right? No, he does not have diplomatic status. I've debunked that hundreds of times. Okay. So, so, and also when you have a diplomatic status, it does not give you the right to actually, it's very strict because I've been a diplomat. Diplomatic status means like, it doesn't mean yeah, but I would like to have somebody to talk to. Our recollections may vary, so even if you're from afar, you can come in and join. That way we can bounce ideas from, if you can, I mean, that's fine. So this is the problem, is that he now has gone and admitted that he's still doing drugs. Under exception 6, once an agency identifies privacy interests, even if those privacy interests are lessened or diminished, they are balanced against the public interest in disclosure. Here, the public has an absolute interest in knowing why a man who's publicly stating that he's doing drugs in the United States while being an immigrant is not arrested or deported. Because this is not like we went to investigate it. This is Harry who willingly volunteered that information. So that information is out in the public domain that he is a drug user. He is a drug user. Public interest, as defined by FOIA, is that which sheds light on the activities of the agency. As stated in the USCIS public declaration, in most cases, there is no discernible public interest in the disclosure of non-immigrant or immigrant records, because disclosure of private information in files regarding specific individuals does not shed light on the activities of USCIS, and as a result would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion on their personal privacy. That is absolute sophistry, guys. What I just read to you is absolute bullshit. That is absolute sophistry. Okay? They're just word salading, but these were the legal grounds on which why they're denying, which is actually quite good to know, because now the foundation is gonna tear this apart. They can now say, you know what, the exception 6 does not apply here, because Harry himself, if we had never known, if Harry had never confirmed how, not only that he'd done drug in the past, but how extensive it was and how he continues to do it. So publicly, he's gone on talk show host, on a book. He has done seminars endorsing drug use. So people are wondering, of course, it is in the interest of the public to find out, how can an immigrant who is clearly doing drugs is allowed to stay in the country? Because he's no different than the people who are being deported, because he's committing a crime. He's using drugs that are illegal for him to do. Okay? No, I know it has, but you know what it is, guys? You know how Trump got elected? Because there were so many people who spoke out and voted that they couldn't hide it anymore. So the same, you know how I've been saying this all along to you guys? That if everybody gets loud enough, if there's just too many people talking about it, they will have no choice. That is why Trump got elected, because there were so many people voting for him that they couldn't do that. So the same logic applies here. That's why that was my previous stupid imbecile idea of forming a community with other Mexican YouTubers, because I thought, doesn't matter how we deliver the message. The whole point is that we all get together and deliver the message, even if we have different points of view. That sure as hell backfired. Okay, good. Please do join. So that is the whole point of it. If we have enough loud voices, people say in the United States, wait a minute, Trump, this is bullshit. This is not legal, because so the Heritage Foundation has excellent grounds here. Okay. They're saying there's no discernible public interest in the disclosure of non-immigrant. Of course there is, because the immigrant himself is saying that he's committing a crime very publicly. He's not even keeping quiet about it. Okay? So, and this is, it's clear unwarranted invasion of their personal privacy. Harry has already invaded his own privacy by admitting that he's a drug addict. Not only that, he poses a danger because he has access to a large platform with the drugs that he's advocating for. The plaintiffs bear the burden of establishing that the public interest in disclosure outweighs an individual's personal privacy interest in the information, and that a significant public benefit would result from the disclosure of the individual's records. Moreover, a request who asserts a government misconduct public interest must produce evidence that would be deemed believable by a reasonable person for there to exist a counterweight on the Freedom of Information Act scale to allow us to balance against cognizable privacy interests in their requested records. Basically, they're saying that the Heritage Foundation must show that there's compelling evidence for them that there's a misconduct going either by the government or the immigrant for them to be able to disclose that information. Well, Harry served them up in a platter. Because one of the things that the FOIA should have told this idiot is keep quiet. If you're going to continue doing drugs, don't go advertising it. Don't write a book. His entire book is about his drug use, his past. And he wasn't just doing little marijuana here and there. No, he said he did coke. I think he did LSD, heroin. He's done everything, this guy. But then he continues to say that he's still doing them. He's still doing seminars on the drugs that he's endorsing. Okay? So in this point, this is what we're reading, what I'm reading to you right now, guys. The Heritage Foundation didn't have it. They had nothing. They didn't know why the FOIA had been denied, under what legal grounds. Now they have the legal grounds, which are bullshit. Please don't forget to click like, guys, okay? It helps the channel grow, so it's very greatly appreciated. So please click like and share and leave me your comments. So what we're seeing is that this is what we're seeing right now. So let's keep on going with this. So now we know that there is reasonable grounds because there is misconduct. There is a public misconduct. This is not even that Harry was caught in a car driving and there were drugs in his car and they were not his. Who could say, you know what, those were not my drugs. Somebody put them there. It wasn't me. It's not even my car. Okay. This is a man who's gone on public record stating that he's a drug user. He's a drug addict and he continues to be one. And this is according to his words. This is not mine. A plaintiff who alleges government misconduct as justification for disclosure would put forward compelling evidence. He already did. They already have that evidence. Harry has admitted that the government, that he was a drug user, a drug addict, and that he's still doing drugs in the United States of America, which is illegal as an immigrant for him. In this case, there's no privacy waiver by the Duke and the documents, whatever. He has not publicly or officially disclosed. Yes, he has. Harry has publicly and officially disclosed that he is a drug user, that he was a drug addict, and that he's still doing drugs in the United States. There is the potential harm in the form of harassment if his exact, immigration status is revealed. Why would there be a form of harassment? That is, if he has admitted that he's done drugs, but that he's still a drug addict, that he's still doing drugs in the United States, then I see a reason not to be harassed, but to be legally prosecuted. Because you see, if Harry's still doing drugs as an immigrant, he's still legally, he has to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Okay? That's what it is. It's not, they're trying to disguise this as harassment. If it's exact, there is potential of harm in the form of harassment it could be if his exact immigration status or drug use is revealed, or past drug use is revealed. But the problem is that it is unfair. Well, let's say that they did waive it. That's fine. But he has still continued to doing drugs. Thus, there is significant privacy interest involved in the records. Plaintiffs have not established public interest. Yes, they have. They said Harry has admitted publicly, and not once. It's in print, guys. He's done interviews. As defined by the FOIA, that's a lie. That is a lie. You have an individual admitting to a crime. And this is like, for example, let's say you go to you go on television and you say, I've killed people. I've killed them here, I killed them there, I did this, I hid the bodies here and there. You're admitting a crime in public television. Never mind, I know what you're going to say. Killing and doing drugs is not the same. I'm just trying to give you a metaphor for the admission of the crime. Okay. So when somebody comes and writes a book about it and claims it's your biography, and then you go on interviews and you're boasting about how you not only did you kill in the past, but you continue to kill others, there is public interest as to why the police is not doing anything. Okay. Plaintiffs, this is the Heritage Foundation, allege that the records should be disclosed as public confidence in the government would suffer, or to establish whether the Duke was granted preferential treatment. Of course, because people are not going to trust. Because you know what? It'd be very sad because Trump said that he'd be different than Joe Biden, right, guys? Hasn't he made a whole thing that he'll be different than Joe Biden, than corrupt Joe Biden? I mean, I get this is why he won by a landslide, guys, because he said he'd be completely different. That he'd be, that he'd be colorblind, that the law, nobody's above the law. So it'd be quite a disappointment to see Trump be just as corrupt as Biden, you know? And people trying to disguise it or excuses as sparing King Charles blushes. No, it should be King Charles who should be doing. You know what? Instead of King Charles making it difficult for the United States, their ally, with his kid wreaking havoc in a foreign country, he should be saying, you know what? Let the law apply. Charles should issue a statement saying, you know what? Please don't do it on our behalf. We do not want to interfere with the laws of the United States. We're not above the law. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, Jennifer Siami, that's your point of view, and I respect it. But you know what? I I think that if we all had that approach, nothing would change. Okay. And again, like I said before, you need a lot of people to race and fight about it. You know, you need a lot of people. You need to make so much noise that they will have no excuse but to listen to people. But if we have that attitude, Jennifer, then nobody would do anything because what's the point, right? And I'm not that kind of person. That's why I have the channel, because I like to point out things that are not right. So the records that's explained above do not support such allegation, but show the regulatory process involved in reviewing and granting immigration benefits. Okay, this is very important. But show the regulatory process involved in reviewing and granting immigration benefits, which was done in compliance with the Immigration and Nationality Act 8 USC 1103 and applicable rules and regulations, which means that Harry was granted a waiver. Okay, so if Harry was granted a waiver, that in itself is not a crime. The problem is that Harry broke the law once he was inside the United States. And I know President Trump knows this, the Department of Justice knows this. And how do we know this? Because Harry himself has said so. Okay? Harry himself has said that he has continued to doing drugs. Okay? That he has continued to doing drugs. He's gone with Dr. Gabor Mate explaining about his trips and everything. It is you know, so that is something that is true. I'm sorry, Marcia, but that is a fact. That is a fact. Mr. Trump can make Harry's files public today with a signature. He has the power to do that. Harry entered the country under his administration, and what I just read to you, um, the records above say, the records as explained above do not support such an allegation, but show the regulatory process involved in reviewing and granting immigration benefits, which was done in compliance with the Immigration and Nationality Act, which means he got a waiver. And we cannot be blind. I am not a fanatic of anybody in my channel. I call everybody out in my channel. Okay. Sorry you feel that way, Marcia Joe, but we cannot be blind to people because that's when we get in trouble. Okay. So I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree. And it's such a shame because, he ran in such platform. And the problem is, guys, if Harry were not such a high profile individual, that would be okay. But he is. And he has made such high profile comments worldwide. You know what I mean? I agree. I agree. I agree, Pure Meditation, that Spare came in 2023. But according to what the little that we can read here, he was granted a waiver. They reviewed his documentation and he was granted immigration benefits. You know, with regard to item 3 of plaintiff's request seeking an information related to a waiver under section 212D3 of the blah, 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 and then they go on and talk about it. I declare under the penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge and belief. Okay. These are the 13 pages. The other pages, guys, are basically, there's nothing there. What you see, all those 60 pages and stuff like that. So it means that Harry was granted, he was granted a waiver. And again, that in itself is not a problem. Yeah. No. You see, Harry's not the king's responsibility. Harry's a 40-year-old man. The responsibility, Harry, of keeping the United States of America safe and that the laws are obeyed is the Department of Justice, Homeland Department, and the president. The president is fully aware. And the fact that Trump said that he's not going to deport him because his wife is terrible, then that any immigrant can say that when they come in and he gets deported. Do you know that there's so many immigrants that work really hard, guys, and they haven't broken any laws, they don't take any drugs, and they are being deported because they don't have the right documentation. So Harry got the benefit of being granted a waiver. From what I read here, from the little that we read here, right? And rather than not do you know how much of a drug addict Harry is? Is that in spite of getting a waiver, because the lawyer explained this to me, that when you get a waiver, then you have to sign that you will not do drugs in the United States of America and that you will abide by the laws of the United States of America. And Harry has violated that. And how do we know that? Because he said so. He said so. He said so on Spare. And if the king had balls, he would issue a public statement saying, listen, please, in order to keep our relationship in good standing, my son is 40 years old. I showed today something on my X, which I am going to show you guys, because I really like this. I posted today on X, and I thought it was very appropriate. It was very, very appropriate. Okay. To what I wanted to show you, Okay. So let just indulge me a little bit here, because this is what is happening right now with Harry and Meghan Markle. Okay.
I'm going to make it individual. That toxic You've heard me say in other videos that a characteristic of a toxic family is one that caters to the most toxic individual. That toxic individual will hold a lot of power over the whole system. All the other members kind of adjust to that toxic person in fixed roles usually. You've heard me say in other videos that a characteristic of a toxic family is one that caters to the most toxic individual. That toxic individual will hold a lot of power over the whole system. All the other members kind of adjust to that toxic person in fixed roles usually. You've heard me say in other
videos. So do you get what they're saying? No, Cassie, the document is not saying that they're condoning Harry's future drug use or breaking the law. That's not what the document says. It says that he got a waiver. that there were documents reviewed and that immigration benefits were granted. But that doesn't give him, when you sign those waivers, you are told that once you get in, you leave that behind. Okay? He did not get a blanket pardon like Joe Biden gave to Hunter Biden, guys. Okay? So, but did you like what the guy said? Because a toxic family is a family that caters to the toxic individuals. Because once they cater to those toxic individuals, those individuals hold the power, which is basically what's happening with the royal family, which is basically happening with the president of the United States. You know what, Pipagans? If President Trump has time to sign a document for plastic, for plastic straws, I'm pretty sure he has a couple of seconds to sign a document making Harry's document. You know, that is not an excuse. He is aware of this issue. Okay? So, but can you imagine how much of a drug addict Harry must be that he can't stop using drugs in spite of the fact that he got a clean slate when he got into the United States? Okay? He got into the United States. He was given immigration benefits. It says so in the document. So that's a clean slate. We're gonna oversee what you did here, but once you're here, you have to obey the laws. Everybody does. So it's up to us to make all the noise, just like people in the United States made all the noise to get Trump to be reelected. It's up to all of us. And I disagree with some of them and say, what's the point? A lot of people probably would have thought the same thing about voting for Trump. If they hadn't gone out to vote, they wouldn't have gotten elected. It had to be so massive. So this is a point that it has to be so massive because this makes a mockery of him deporting everybody else. Well, he has a high-profile drug addict going around promoting censorship, and he run on freedom of speech. And Harry is doing his damnedest best to promote censorship, to end freedom of speech in the United States. Is interfering with policy. He's doing drugs. He's fighting drugs. He's right now putting tariffs in Canada and Mexico because of the fentanyl that is going in. Great. But then you have one of your major fentanyl users and drug users going around the country using his major platform to promote the use of drugs. So, I mean, but can you imagine how much of a drug addict it has to say? So the great news about this, guys, is that now the Heritage Foundation knows the legal grounds under which the Freedom of Information Act was denied. Now they can appeal it. Now they can say, yeah, exactly. I remember when they didn't allow John Lennon. Do you guys remember Amy Winehouse? Amy Winehouse couldn't come to pick up her music a Grammy Award or whatever that she won to the United States because she admitted to doing drugs. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that she couldn't come, so she performed? I remember she performed via video because she couldn't do that. I think Nigella Lawson was kicked out. Let me see if I can find this here, so you guys can see it. Let me see here if I can find the news. Ah, even better. Here, you want to read it, guys? Okay. Says here, Nigella Lawson stopped from boarding flight to U.S. after cocaine confession. TV cook was barred from boarding a flight from Heathrow to Los Angeles at the weekend. Nigella Lawson has been stopped from flying to the U.S. 4 months after 4 months after she confessed to taking cocaine. The TV cook, 54, was barred from boarding a flight from Heathrow to Los Angeles at the weekend. Okay? They didn't even let her get on the plane. Lawson, a mother of two, told jurors that she took cocaine when her late husband, John Diamond, when he found out he had terminal cancer in 2010, when she claimed she was being subjected to intimate terrorism by Sachi, some person that was there. So this woman admitted taking cocaine once under horrible circumstances, and she took it once. She admitted to it, and she was not allowed to even board the flight. Okay, guys? So, hola, Claudia Salas. Hola. Hola. So it's very rich that, and this is, and this was done. This was publicized why she wasn't allowed to come in. A witness told the Daily Mail Lawson attempted to board a British Airways flight from London on Sunday morning, but was turned away. She didn't seem to say much, but she did not look happy, the onlooker said. She could not get on the flight, so she had to turn around and leave. Police reviewed the allegations of drug use made during the trial, but Scotland Yard said no further action would be taken. While Lawson has not been convicted for any drug offense, it appears that U.S. officials have still decided to deny her entrance to the country. Are you reading this? Are you reading this? Okay. The U.S. officials, even though she was not convicted of anything, she only did it once, they still denied her entrance to the country. And then it goes to say, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security told the Mail that foreigners who had admitted drug taking were deemed inadmissible. So you see, Homeland Security, they're just stated over there in the application that we saw that they don't talk to people. They don't disclose this because people, Harry could be subject to harassment. They had no problem talking to the press, admitting that Nigella Lawson had taken drugs and therefore she was deemed inadmissible. This is, guys, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security told the Mail that foreigners who had admitted drug taking were deemed inadmissible. So this is and you just saw what they said, that they couldn't talk about it because they didn't want the press harassing Harry, but it's okay for them to talk, and they harass a woman. Okay, so this is guys, if this doesn't say anything, here she explained. In order to travel to the United States without a visa on the visa waiver program, one has to obtain ESTA, which I did a video showing you what ESTA was. And I showed you what the application and how to get it done and everything. Remember we did that video, guys? Okay. One has to obtain ESTA authorization, electronic system for travel authorization. As part of that, one has to answer questions about whether one has been arrested or convicted for an offense involving moral turpitude or in relation to a controlled substance. Someone in Miss Lawson's circumstances could tick no, because she has not been convicted of any drug offenses. Okay, but the problem comes when one also has to answer a question as to whether you are a drug abuser or addict. The question of who is a drug user is a difficult one and is supposed to be directed by regulations set out by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. Typically, any person who has used drugs within the last year can be considered a drug abuser or addict. And we know that Harry was doing drugs all the way, probably in that plane. He was getting high as a kite. Okay. So I hope this answers questions, guys, because it kind of takes apart um it takes apart what the Heritage Foundation, what the Homeland Security Department would say, that they don't comment on stuff, immigration status or anything like that, because of press harassment. Yet they were very quick to speak to the press in regards to Nigella Lawson and brand her a drug addict, and therefore they decided not to allow her to come in. Hi, honesty and truth. Thank you so very much to all the Brits here. Write to your MPs and demand to know the status of Prince Harry. Enough. Tell them that you think he is treason. Yeah, but and honesty and truth. The problem. Thank you for your chat. The problem is now is that Harry's no longer the UK's problem. No, now Harry is the US problem because he was granted, and it said in the little that they were able to leak, or the release says that he was granted immigration benefits. So it's up to the authorities of the United States of America to allow this man to continue publicly breaking the law and boasting about it. Okay, so it's up to the United States. Unfortunately, it's no longer up to the United Kingdom. This is not about sparing Charles blushes. God knows Charles has no blushes. Didn't he want to be Camilla's tampon? Let's not forget that. Okay, so this is about, Trump said that he was going to look for the interests of the people of the United States of America. How are the how is the how are the best interests of the United States of America best served by having a high profile individual with access to a huge platform going around endorsing censorship and canceling freedom of speech, which is the cornerstone of the United States of America democratic process, or admitting that he is breaking the law and he's doing drugs and endorsing the use of drug use in the United States of America while being an immigrant? So you tell me, guys. I mean, you tell me if you think that is fair. I mean, Trump just bombed some place, and he didn't tell the United States of the United Kingdom, and people were mocking Stammer because of that. That he wasn't warned. How Trump bombed the Houthi, right? So so right now there were people were mocking, what's his name, oh, thank you, Munchie. Right now they were mocking Stammer, that Trump unilaterally bombed the Houthi place. I think that is the name, without even notifying his main ally, like the special relationship. Trump didn't tell anybody. Trump has made his promises that he's going to do what's best for America. Having Harry in America without any consequences, it sends a bad, and incredibly, it sends a message that he's weak. And I'd be very disappointed, to tell you the truth. You know, so I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. I mean, do you think that's correct? But the great thing is that, let me see what Twitter is saying, because Twitter might be. I want to see what Niles Gardner is saying. Let me see if I can put it here for you guys. Nile Gardner. Okay, let me see what Nile Gardner is saying. Um, he just put this out 1 hour ago, so I think they're gonna go for it. He's gonna go for it, guys. Nile Gardner's just saying, Prince Harry's immigration application should be released to the American people. There should be full transparency and accountability. The key question remains whether he lied on his application, was given preferential treatment. No one is above the law. Let me see what Niall Gardner is saying right now. And Okay, so this is about the thing. So it seems that now Gardner is going to go for it. Okay, so it seems that, yeah, it seems that he's going to go for it. So let me see what else he's saying here. Oh, he keeps going. 19 minutes ago. There should be a new era of government accountability and transparency in the United States post Biden. It should start with the release of Prince Harry's immigration record to the American people and the full application of the rule of law. Let me see what he's saying, because uh, it's the same thing. So he is going to go after that. This is a sugar protecting them. This is a sugar. You can see how the sugars go because they're trashing Niles Gardner because it's not right. I agree with him. It's not right. Let me see what he says here. Well, Dan wouldn't keep fighting. Well done. I will do. Thank you, Dan. So it seems that there he will go for it. So we need to give him support, and I will not have anybody on my channel saying we give up, because we have to give him support. We have to give support. And so, and people saying, oh, nothing's going to happen. No, we all have to give support to Niles Gardner and to the Heritage Foundation. Say no, because if Trump hears this is loud enough and this will affect him, because don't forget that they want to get JD Vance elected for president. That's who they're priming to get elected. So this could be one of the cornerstones of the issues that say you're a hypocrite. You only deport the little people. There are no legal consequences, nothing. There's no diplomatic backlash if Harry's deported to the United Kingdom. There's none. He's not the first prince to be deported to not to the United Kingdom, but to other countries from the United States. The United States and the United Kingdom had a big bust up after that U.S. lady who was married to a diplomat in the United States killed that bicycle guy who was riding a bicycle, and she was driving in the wrong way, and then she fled the country, and the family fought long and hard, and the United Kingdom went after them. So guys, it can be done. Okay. No, he doesn't have American citizenship yet, because if he had American citizenship yet, he would have to give up the royal title. So yes, you know what I mean? So we have to give that. Excellent. And Niles Gardner, and of course we're going to give him. Yeah, completely agree. And I would say more to Niles Gardner. I would say, yes, we understand that he was given a waiver, whatever. The problem is that Harry has continued to commit a crime by admitting that he's still doing drugs after he was given the waiver. Whatever happened after he entered the United States, he has broken the law. He has admitted to committing crime, the crime of doing drugs, because immigrants are bound by federal law, not state law. Even if ayahuasca, marijuana, or whatever it is, it's legal in the state of California, because Harry is an immigrant, it is illegal for him to consume them, because nationwide, those drugs are not legal. Okay. So that is, yes. Okay. You know what I mean? So let me know what your thoughts are. The great thing about being 56, guys, is that I would think of my channel of you guys. We have difference of opinions, and we can all talk. We can all agree to disagree. But right now, this is not King Charles' problem. This is the United States of America problem. This is the authorities' problems, who have basically, I imagine that because Doria and Meghan are U.S. citizens, they are getting him. This is just my opinion, Claudia Salas. All the drugs that are legal in the state of California and given to him. Because even for Harry to apply, because in the state of California, you have to apply for a card and able to go and buy drugs to these shops that sell those drugs. Even applying for those cards. And when you go to California, and if you don't believe me, go to California, go to outside of the immigration offices. Usually They will have flyers that tell the immigrants, even if you're a green card holder and you are legally in the United States, you cannot consume marijuana. You cannot apply for a marijuana card or anything because you are bound by federal law and you can be deported and revoked. Okay, guys? So, my thoughts to you is support Niall Gardner in all of this, support the Heritage Foundation. I will do one. I will do one. I will continue supporting him. I think it's important that he's supported. I think it's important that we make so much noise, the same kind of noise that, because you know what happens if we don't? Then Harry is going to feel emboldened to continue this behavior. What does he have to do in order for consequences to happen? Right now, Trump is looking pretty bad because anybody on the side knows that the president has the power to make any document public. Okay. So let's see what happens. Let's see. But I would urge everybody to continue supporting Niall Gardner and instead be outraged. Write to the your senators. Write to the vice president. Write to the DOJ. Go inundate their Twitter accounts with all of this, saying what the fudge is going on. You ran on this, and this guy, after if he was granted a waiver, after he was granted a waiver, he admitted that he's still doing drugs in the United States, which means he's breaking the law. So it is in the public interest. And this is not because anybody had to investigate him. This is because he willingly offered and very publicly offered that information. You can't delete that. You can't delete it. The book is out. The interviews were granted. So let me know what you think, beautiful people. And thanks for coming to the live. Thanks for always supporting. Go watch everything. And we guys, no, please, guys. You know how you guys felt hopeless when you thought, like people were saying Trump was not gonna win if you were voting for Trump, if you're voting Democrat or whatever. But look what the majority of people can do. If there is a lesson here, is look what the majority, what have I always told you in my channel? Usually, and I wish I could find that drawing, which is there's a bunch of people holding a platform where 3 or 4 people are sitting down, right? And they're very smug. But suddenly, one by one, everybody starts not holding the platform on their shoulders. Everybody's holding that platform on their shoulders, and only 3 or 4 are sitting on top. But one by one, people start leaving, and the platform collapses. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to be passionate. God damn it. Sorry, I don't mean to be a blasphemous. I am a Christian. Darn it. We can do this. And the Heritage Foundation is willing to keep going. So let's give them our support. Go to Twitter. Write to the vice president. Write to POTUS. Write to the Department of Homeland Security, because they did not those were not legal arguments, because I just showed you what they said themselves about Nigella Lawson. They said that they don't talk because they didn't want Harry to be harassed by the press. Yet they went and talked to the press about Nigella Lawson. What is good for the goose is good for the gander, guys. Okay? So they don't have enough. Those are not legal arguments. Sparing Harry's blushes because he's a drug addict and has continued to do drugs. Because they admit that he got immigration benefits, which would imply to me that's a waiver. But then he cannot commit crimes once he's in the United States. And him doing drugs in the state of California, and I repeat, please do not be confused. I think that marijuana, and ayahuasca and some other drugs are legal in the state of California for U.S. citizens. Immigrants, green card holders cannot do those drugs because federally those drugs are not legal, and immigrants are bound by federal law. Okay? Oh, yeah, I've always said, but you see, we just read, Claudia Salas, that Nigella Lawson was denied even to board the flight because she had admitted to having done drugs for cocaine 4 months prior, because after her husband was diagnosed with cancer or something like that, and she was denied even to board the plane. And the Homeland Department of Security went to the press and said, we didn't allow her because we don't allow drug addicts. They didn't think twice. Post Raven, go watch my live, and you'll see it. So, anyways, I gotta go because I have to stuff to do. I just wanted to talk to you, and please leave me the questions. Um, Go check I showed the information. I showed the document that they released, which is all redacted, and some of it that's not. Basically, what they released was the legal grounds that they decided were enough to not disclose Harry's information, which the Heritage Foundation did not have before. Now the Heritage Foundation can go and say, that's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. Yeah, exactly. But not only that, the fact is that Harry has, this is the thing that's driving me crazy. That nobody's talking about Harry admitting to doing drugs, still doing drugs, which is a crime as an immigrant. And he's boasting about it on shows, on his book. Yes, I understand. We need to know if he was granted a waiver. Fine. Okay, so he was granted a waiver, but he's still doing drugs. And he's talking about it. He's endorsing them. He's immersing himself in politics, which he cannot do while holding a royal title. He's advocating for canceling the freedom of speech. Anyways, I'm gonna get going, and thank you for always tuning in. I'm sorry it was such an impromptu live, but I hope you got to see it. No, I don't have a date, Ginger. I have a date to get my scab checked out, because I fell down and I scabbed my entire knee, and it's looking like crap. So apparently they have to scrape it, which I'm not looking forward to because it's going to be painful, and they have to put some antibiotics in it, you know. No, Cindy, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. This is very important because Harry embodies everything he ran for. He embodied that no criminals were going to be allowed in the country, that everybody had to be correctly in immigration. He said that everybody who broke the law would be deported regardless of who. Harry breaks all those three things. And not only that, he's not he's not a little drug dealer that you never heard of. This is a man with a worldwide platform. So Harry embodies everything. Harry embodies everything that the president ran on, and that Harry's saying, screw you. That's what basically is happening right now. Okay. And you guys have a great day, and thank you. And I hope you watch my videos, guys.